bit of a background on what this case is, what we're trying to do, what our strategy is, and why the heck faith communities can be helpful and be engaged in this work, which you guys probably already have your ideas doing, many of you doing climate work already in your faith communities. But I think this lawsuit provides a unique opportunity for the faith community. So Juliana versus the U.S. was filed in 2015 out of Eugene, Oregon by 21 youth around the country, Alaska, Florida, Oregon, etc. And these youth are seeking to get the courts to recognize their constitutional right to a stable climate system capable of sustaining human life, which is something that Judge Ann Aiken in Eugene, Oregon, who first saw this case, established that they do have that constitutional right. And so the youth are also trying to win in court to get the government to prepare and implement a science-based climate recovery plan that will decarbonize our energy system by 2050 and phase us off of fossil fuels so that we can have a more just economy in the US. So this case currently is with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in a really unusual kind of place, and it's called interlocutory appeal. This occurs when, typically it'll occur if there's, in an environmental case, if there's, let's say, a clear cut about to happen or a forest that they're about to cut, and there's a lawsuit brought against the company that's about to cut the forest down, and the judge will rule in an injunctive relief. The judge will rule that the forest can't be cut down until the case is over. So we filed for the injunctive relief, and then at the same time we have interlocutory appeal. And interlocutory appeal is asking the defendant's asking the courts to reconsider some of the findings that Judge Ann Aiken made in the district court, including the constitutional right establishment. And so essentially what we're doing is we're going through the appeals process, and we also filed this injunction at the same time before the case has actually gone to trial. And that's why it's unusual. Typically, courts like to see cases progress through the system normally, but the court has allowed this case to go up on interlocutory appeal and under the injunction, which is what we filed in response to the interlocutory appeal, because it will take a long time. So that's kind of the really, really fast version of what's going on. It's very confusing. Even our legal team was like, what is going on with this? It's really unusual and poses some problems for the case as a whole with it, how fast it's going to go forward. And so we're excited that we got a hearing date expedited, and this hearing on June 4th will be on the findings that Judge Aiken made, and we're pretty confident that the Ninth Circuit will rule in our favor, and that's primarily because they have in the past, and we will be before 2 out of the 3 judges that we've already seen. So this isn't something that we're particularly concerned about, but it is very, very important that people show up, because in many cases in the past, cases that have decided matters of history now, including the Obergefell case, which decided gay marriage in the U.S., and the Brown v. Board of Education case, which decided against desegregation or against segregation in schools and ordered the government to implement a desegregation plan, which is similar to our climate recovery plan in essence. And so these cases have been really important in movements, and the movements have been really important in these cases because the judges will consider what the public wants in their decisions. And so it's very important that the judges hear from all communities, including the faith community, the faith community, of course, faith as a tradition and in general in the United States has had a lot of power in bringing justice, social justice, and making change happen here. So it's very important that this community shows up and we can make our voices heard. So I, at this point, want to open it up for questions. And even though we do have a small group, I'd love it if you guys can find your chat box, which would be under, I think it would be under the more, if I can pull it up here. So if you go to more at the bottom of your screen and go to the chat, you can pull up the chat box. And if you want to write your questions in there, that way we're not talking over each other. This is just questions about the case and where it's at. And later we'll talk about June 4th and what we're asking of the faith community.